So hello and happy new year. Thanks for joining first session in 2024. This is our 61st session in total. Let's see how far we get this year. Hey Ashrash, thanks for joining. Today I just started the recording, started doing a brief intro. So I don't know how everyone feels about after the break coming back to things. I always need a bit of a refresher. And something that I've been doing the last few days is going through old stuff. So seeing what issues we have outstanding, what pull requests there are, and also the ideas document. So once again, we have our notes document, to which I'll share a link that you can type stuff in. So we can use that to take notes. And I wanted to first start by gathering stuff to talk about. Something that I think would be great is if we just to talk about what I already put in there is taking this roadmap and creating the ideas document, this one here, and turning it into a roadmap. And by roadmap, I mean something like this that we've had. This was a roadmap, community roadmap for 2023. And you just split things up roughly by quarters, just stuff that you want to do. It never works out exactly that way, but it still helps just everyone get kind of on the same page and think about things and make sure we have some stuff planned out. So that's something that I think we would be good. We don't have to create the roadmap necessarily here, but just kind of figure out what we want to do. The alternative would be just work more with short-term milestones. It's another approach, maybe both. What are some other topics that you'd like to chat about?
This sounds good.
Yeah, roadmaps. I'm gonna have some Mitsuba street food snack mix along the way here. Some other things I put in there were 2 active pull requests. One, a new header image for the resources page, which is very straightforward. And then the covenants challenge, which came up. Someone on Twitter posted that they'd love to see covenants UX, because there's all this conversation around covenants happening and these different technical approaches, but there's no consensus on which one to go for. And someone said, well, this should really be fleshed out in design with and very explored very deeply. So and then Dan Yashash was in that conversation too, and then Dan created a PR there. That'd be a cool thing to make happen.
I think it was Alex Leishman from River, the CEO of River, and then Dan was replying to that. And yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, sorry, go ahead, Yashash.
So I was just saying that, like, like in the past few weeks on Bitcoin Twitter, it has been like people are only seem to be talking and fighting about 2 things. One of them is the high fees and the spam filter stuff, and the other is this covenant stuff. And the covenant stuff seems like super technical. They like only talk in abbreviations because it's like complicated stuff. There are so many proposals. CTV, CSFS, OpCat, like it all seems, like a bit intimidating, to be honest. And they are also like talking about a few use cases, I guess, but then it's also like a challenge for everyone to like understand which governance proposals enable what exactly, and which one should we want to activate, and if it requires a soft fork or whatever. It seems there's a lot in there.
Yeah, I can't follow all of this stuff, but I did listen to a Stefan Livera podcast this morning on the bus, which talked about that covenants could enable tons of lightning scaling. So it seems like there are all kinds of different things that this
Yeah,
could
I think
enable.
the issue is that there won't be enough UTXOs in general, so they will have to be shared at some point. And I mean, that's one aspect of these covenants, and another aspect would be that you can actually do, let's say, spending based on, for instance, the uh, amount of coin to be or of the height of the, how to say, the value of the transaction, and these kinds of things. So, and maybe it's not even from a design perspective, we don't even have to know which one of these proposals will be kind of implemented or agreed upon, because we just can design what is needed in that regard, right? So we don't necessarily have to be constrained by the technical, or too much by the technical implementation.
Yeah, I think we could add to the conversation, but I don't think we can. I mean, there's so much to consider, from the technical stuff to thinking about how this could be abused and break the system and, go wrong. There's all kinds of stuff. But yeah, that would be a cool thing to kick off. Maybe we could do a learning Bitcoin and design session about it, just to
Yeah,
wrap our heads around these different things, gather some intel.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
thinking about the same thing about Frost, because I'm starting to read up about it in the part of the kind of this multi-sig, multi-key setups. So that could also be a topic for such a call.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if so, Stephen traditionally did the learning Bitcoin and design calls, but he's been very busy. So I reached out to him about picking up that series again, or if he would want to do it, or if it's fine if someone else does it or whatnot. But then we could just make this a monthly thing. And if we don't have a super current topic, I do feel like picking up on some existing pages and going over them, reading through them together, would be helpful for the newcomers, or the people who have maybe explored certain areas of Bitcoin but not others, right? Where it's not about like this kind of far out tech, but more of the established stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Christoph, I love that idea. Like, I feel like the covenants might be something like that, like a candidate for the learning and Bitcoin sessions, but maybe also something like silent payments, because that seems awesome.
Yeah. I think the main, with design reviews, we've kind of gotten to the point where people just kind of come up and say, "Hey, can we do a design review?" And I just say, "Cool. When do you want to do it?" And we just organize it, and they kind of bring the content, right? It would
Mm-hmm.
be good with learning Bitcoin if it was similar too. So if you'd like to have a session around it, maybe you can be the one to guide the session, or maybe you can find someone to guide the session and invite them in. That would make it much easier for me, being often the person who sets up these calls, to just say yes, so I don't feel like I have to do all the research and everything as well.
Yeah, I'd be willing to set up the Frost session. I'll
Awesome.
pick
Yeah.
that up.
Awesome. And I do think Josie Bake, who Mo hangs out sometimes with in Amsterdam,
Mm-hmm.
who works on silent payments, I think, if I remember correctly, uh, is probably would probably be open to hosting a session.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I can reach out to Reardon Code for Covenants one. I think he also now has a series of bips around that, so maybe if he's interested.
Yeah, we'd have to make sure just we get away from the technical stuff. Like there's a certain depth where we just don't go beyond, and we just kind of keep it,
Mhm.
because otherwise it's
Yeah.
just that we want to get to a certain part of this covenants topic. But yeah, sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. Let's just put those on the calendar then.
Mhm.
Um, let me see. Action. Cool. Okay, so going back to the roadmap again. So Michael, I think also you mentioned something that you would like to work on, and maybe we can just, if there are some existing issues, I can just assign them to you and put them on the roadmap, and then we can just add quarters like Q1, Q2.
Yeah, I already self-assigned myself. I took the liberty to.
Awesome.
It was the one about the descriptors. Yeah, the first one here in the list.
Okay.
And then the shared wallet reference design, let's say revamp. So those are the two.
Should I put them in Q1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So you already assigned yourself to the other one as well?
I think so.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, those are the two.
And then they should show up here on our roadmap now. Yeah, cool. So this roadmap you can always access from just the regular, if you go up to projects, should be on that list. And then if you're not familiar with it, at the top, you have a few different tabs. You can just see them by milestones, which we're not using right now. So by quarters would probably be the way to look at it. Yeah, and I put 4 things in there. This was part of me going last week trying to clean out a bunch of stuff because we have some issues that are 2+ years old, and I really feel like it's either time to really act on them or just get rid of them. And I closed maybe 5-6 of them where there was either someone suggested something, there was absolutely no action and it doesn't seem that relevant. There are other ones where I just asked, like, is this relevant or so? And if there's no answer in a certain amount of weeks, then I'll just close them. But I wanted to confirm. And then there are some where I feel like with a little bit of pushing, those could be taken care of. And some of them I put on here, which is the fiat over Lightning, for which Stephen already created a pretty good document, probably just needs wrapping up. I asked him about it. Then making the contribute page more actionable, that's ongoing. Creating a page for designing error stage, which is more like lifting content from one page to another. And then adding some visuals to the private key management section. That also seems like a fun little thing to do. Hey, Joaquin.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us today. We were just discussing a bit of roadmap stuff, who wants to work on what, and kind of what we should focus on. So we have this guide 2024 ideas document, and an easy step is if someone feels strongly about something, they can just say, I want to do that, and we'll put it on the roadmap. Ideally with an idea of which quarter it would happen in. Yeah. Governance made its way in there. I get, something that I was wondering about is we've had the idea of merchant stuff, having a merchant section in there for a couple of years. There were some false starts. No one seems to be interested in working on this. We have 5, 8 issues open around merchants, but the momentum just never seems to come together. Should we just ditch it? Or, I don't know. Just leave it there?
What are the issues on emergent stuff that are just like an example of what is considered emergent?
So I think this actually has its own tag. So we click on merchants. So here's, okay. So it's in-person point of sale reference design. Updating the personal finance page with something about merchants. For example, just breaking down, for example, I think one of the things was the difference between having like a street vendor or someone selling stuff at a yard sale versus in a restaurant where you have multiple waiters who should be able to take payments but not control the funds and whatnot, then to something much bigger, like an office with multiple locations and all of this stuff. And the bigger you get, the needs just really change. And just starting by breaking down these different groups or target audience, whatnot, users, yeah, and then from there building out some reference designs or building out content. And then there's stuff like multi-currency display, use case and personas, brainstorming a first table. So there's, in doing a case study based on the Galloy cash register, like tracking. Yes, it's like there. Steve,
I mean, with the merchant stuff, I almost feel like we should put it on some kind of wish list. It's not. Yeah, we need someone to really push it forward and kind of be passionate about it. And we don't have that person at the moment. So having lots of issues feels more of a burden than a help. But so I don't know if we should just kind of lump them all into one with a kind of wish list title and, forget about it for the moment. I'm not sure if you can do that in GitHub really, but that's kind of what I would say. And then we should try and find that person who is passionate about it and wants to do it, but not have it hanging over the community as a whole.
Yeah, so maybe just consolidate. There's this design tracker, merchants design tracker, with maybe just consolidate everything in there and just close issues where there's basically nothing was done. Yeah, that could be a thing. And then also add a message in there that we're looking for contributors. And I think something like that would be cool if someone whoever champions that, collaborates with BTC Pay and Galloy and I don't know. I think what is it? Breeze has a point of sale. Wallet of Satoshi has a point of sale. Like they don't have to come up with everything from scratch. There's a lot of stuff out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, took a note on that one. Another thing I was wondering about the website itself. There are a handful of issues around redesigning the homepage. One of the homepage criticism was that if you go to bitcoin.design, it's kind of simple and it doesn't really tell you. It's not really inviting. Showcase the project, showcase the people, make it more inviting, interesting. Showcase more what the community is about. That was, I think, a bigger part of the feedback. So what does everyone? And there could also be feedback. There was some stuff about improving the search by using a third-party service, and a few other things. What does everyone think about touching the site itself?
I agree that it could be a little bit more inviting. I kind of liked how you phrased that. To have it more of some kind of more personality. Is that what you're talking about?
Not necessarily personality. I mean, part of the concept is that we can have all these different headers. So there are 5 different headers at the top. When you land on the page, there's always a different one. Each one was created by someone else in the community. And there's a link where you can also design your own header, which I still need to get to at some point. So that was kind of meant to showcase the creativity of different people and the different perspectives. And then below that is more the informational. So I don't think that header necessarily needs to change. It would be cool to have more contributions there. But I think below that it's more about the information about what are all the things that are happening here, like what's happening right now. What are maybe some a lot of landing pages have quotes from people like, oh, this community really helped me get going, or improve my project or whatnot. Maybe better showcase the different projects on the homepage or so. There could be like more these what do you call the information sent, right?
It's quite text heavy, right? It's you have the header image and then text, and to kind of maybe have a bit more expressive, like you mentioned, kind of some quotes or kind of a carousel of screenshots of things that we designed, or kind of more kind of content navigation and teasers on the homepage might help.
Yeah, when I look at the projects tab, it's almost like if I skip the first text paragraph, we've got these nice sort of squares of projects with icons and headlines, and kind of feels like that should, or at least part of that could work well on the front page.
That's a good point.
Because it gives you a good overview that there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of valuable things. Maybe it doesn't show you what's going on exactly now, but it gives you a good idea of what the community has already done compared to what we have now, which looks a bit academic almost.
And maybe we could also mention the design foundation on that homepage, right?
Yeah, it is one of those squares actually on the project page, so we could get quite a lot for free by just nicking some of that. Of course, we could also custom design this whole thing, but I'm just thinking for some quick wins here. That already seems like it would be a nicer front door.
Yeah, I agree on that too. Like, I feel like the homepage could be working harder. Like right now, it doesn't really have a lot of content at all. It just talks about like an intro para, and then it talks about the Bitcoin design guide para, and that's it.
Yeah, it's so easy to fall into this trap. Whatever project one works on, like you do the front door once, and then you keep building features without revisiting the front door. So yeah, it seems like we could do better.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's something we came up in the last 5 minutes here for a proper review of the site. I think it would be cool if everyone just takes 15 minutes, just kind of click around with that in mind. Pretend they're like different people, someone new to the whole community, someone looking for some specific project, someone looking for help with a particular design problem or so. Just kind of see if they find things, how it works out for them on different devices, tablet, mobile. That'd be cool. But okay, so it seems like maybe these existing issues that we have, I think 5 issues in there. Maybe those are not necessarily the ones that we want to do, but maybe we consolidate again. We create a new issue that says rethink, and then we start. We kind of pick out things that are relevant from those older issues, and then we start a proper effort on it, and then just get it done instead of having 5 2-year-old issues floating around. Okay. Set up an issue and consolidate issues. Okay, cool. Yeah. And so is there anything else you'd personally like to work on, or that you would love it if someone worked on, like eCash, covenants, more case studies? I feel like a Bitcoin Core app case studies needs to go in there.
In terms of now that I'm starting to put together actually the inheritance wallet part, I feel like I have to look at covenants anyway. Or it's kind of, it might be related, so I'll probably look at covenants, try to understand it a bit more in the next 1 or 2 weeks.
Mm.
And then we can see, maybe reach out to some people for a learning session. I know that James Lobb has been writing about covenants on the Casa blog, and yeah, I can do some research on that.
That's awesome. You're really picking the easy topics: mini script and
Yeah,
Frost and covenants.
yeah, but it's yeah. The thing is that it's all about in this broader range of kind of programmability, and
Mhm.
and that's one of the things probably that are relevant, right? Especially if you give maybe one emergency keys to a lawyer, and
Yeah.
then yeah, so it's kind of, yeah, it's a huge. It seemed like a little iceberg, with a little thing on the
Mhm.
top of the water, and it gets bigger, but it's kind of all related, and maybe I can still split it up, but I have to do some research anyway. So
No, that's awesome. Really love it. Glad you're diving into these topics. That's really awesome.
I was thinking of when you mentioned case studies. I'm not sure if it's a case study or just like a write-up of tutorial, but it could fit in there. Is the BGG wallet that I'm working on, basically using LDK node and the Bitcoin UI kit, etc. That could be a case study in basically building a wallet with our building blocks. And it's something I want to do a write-up anyway. Trying to wrap up the wallet to a usable state, and it could end up with there existing a test flight link that could go along with the case study or something, that's so that people could both read and then also get something to try or install on their phone to see what it led to.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. We have this thing about code resources, which
Yes.
so to share with everyone else, there's around the Bitcoin UI kit, there have been some starting points for code libraries, UI libraries, and then Daniel, he's been working on this BDG wallet, and then this all kind of comes together in a way a little bit more now, with Daniel really trying to push something that's basically like it's more than just a prototype. It's an actual functioning product in the
Supposed to be
way.
a reference wallet, I
Yeah.
guess, and reference in the sense that it's usable and mimics some of our reference designs in the guide. Perhaps not reference in terms of like all the best bells and whistles technically and stuff, but it's a starting point for people. It should be good enough that they can sort of pick that up and maybe continue building, as opposed to starting from scratch.
But it basically works using LDK node and creating your seed phrase and putting it in your iCloud. Like there's a ton of stuff there. It's not just like buttons that don't do anything, right? There's a lot
Yeah,
of tech behind
and
it.
even further, I think it's one of the first ones that use just-in-time channels on a self-custodial wallet. So it should be much easier to onboard with than most wallets that have been created in the past, where you had to set up channels and figure out liquidity and stuff. And that's because I think that's what we need in the future from consumer grade wallets, right? We're not going to get that many people to set up channels, I think. So yeah, it's hopefully going to be good. It's a little bit sort of cutting edge. Some of these things are just about released, or sometimes they're not yet on mainnet, and yeah, moving target, but it's fun.
So what's a good way to go about this now? Should we create an issue, or do you want to put an issue together, or put some stuff in the roadmap, or do you want to think about how to break this down? Maybe start with a code resources page, then I don't know. Like how would you break down this bigger project?
I think just putting it as a case study for now might be a good start, because it's basically writing a blog post more or less about how this thing is built or what you can do with it, and that can probably link into the other stuff. So I think, yeah, creating an issue for now, saying BGG wallets case study is something I can sign myself up to for Q1 probably.
Cool. Do you want to put an issue together for that?
Sure, I'll do that.
Awesome. Thank you.
You might have to help me put it in the right project and the right milestone and stuff, but I'll see if I can figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have any milestones right now, so we decided last year we're not working with them, since they were not working out for us necessarily. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm trying to be more of the gap filler right now with the issues that I pick, which then hopefully allows everyone else to dig into the things that they're just really into. Does everyone know what the status is of Bolt 12 right now? I feel like Bolt 12 is kind of amorphous thing, and there's things happening, but it's never quite clear because it seems to cover a lot of stuff.
I haven't been keeping up.
What does everyone think of this idea of scaling in 5 years reference design? So let's say we pretend that covenants are there. We pretend Fedimint is done and works. We pretend Bitcoin is 5 times more expensive and the fees are constantly pretty high. And we pretend Frost is done, and we do some pretend game, and then we figure out what a wallet would be like that allows people to do small payments and savings and some of that stuff.
Personally, I would like it to have kind of some kind of holistic, integrated experience for stuff like, because I've been doing some flow charting or kind of conceptual work last week about pretending a family fully living on a Bitcoin standard, right? How do you set that up exactly for these kinds of things? And maybe you have an integrated Nostr chat in these wallets, or these, to kind of communicate around value and these kind of things. So it can definitely be fun, and maybe it doesn't even have to take into consideration, all the technical, different technical components, but just say what everybody would expect or want, and then work backwards from that, actually. So yeah, always fun challenge, but I don't want to, my plate is already pretty full, but that's what I wanted to do actually with Transcend, and kind of this more visionary thing. But yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah, I mean, I love thinking about that too, because I think towards the end of 2023, like at least my line of thinking and the things that I was listening to, or what went in the direction where, like, if it seems like we are rushing towards the world where all of these adversarial use cases and adversarial scenarios might become real faster, right? Because it's sometimes it feels like it's just a hypothetical where we say Bitcoin, we only think about adversarial things, and it's like, like based on greed, incentives, and all of those things. But what if that kind of a world is approaching, and maybe it doesn't have to be like 5 years out. I think the ETFs might be approved very soon. We know that in the US, the on ramps and off ramps are being, uh, let's say, very heavily monitored, right? And so, like, there is this lot of regulatory uh, interest, let's just say that. So what does that look like? I mean, what if they like try to like, how could the UX have to be in that kind of a consideration where where the blockchain is being surveilled actively, and there is OFAC blacklists and whitelists and like those things. I think that is, like that eCash, if we like, until we have these big scaling answers, can maybe there can be eCash or something else. Because in like that adversarial thing, that self-custodial thing, like that, we may require that faster than we think, and it might not be just about the numbers either. Like in my mind, that is the theme for 2024, like privacy, self-custody, because everybody's going to be rushing towards the ETF. The law enforcement is going to come in, so what do we do? Yeah, sorry, that was a bit of a rant, but
Yeah, that type of stuff does put things in perspective a bit, because I mean, just the fees doubling is such a hard thing, right? Where it just makes it not usable for a lot of people. That's just how it is, right? And if fees double again, then it doesn't have to double very often for it to just become kind of a luxury network, and that's not where we want to be. Or like you're saying, some of the privacy things. There are a bunch of people that if there's no privacy, it's just not going to work for them. That's 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 pretty tough things to work with. And if you can consider those, then or if we start with those maybe as starting points for some explorations, then um, we'll have some. It makes priorities, I think, easier. But what's a good format for that, right? Do we just create another issue, or should we just kind of create a Friday apocalypse work group meeting where every Friday we figure out how the world's ending and then design for it? Or what's a good way to?
I wonder if we could hijack one of these sessions one time, and maybe next time or 2 times from now, say that, hey, this is a different kind of session. It's brainstorm. whatever, make it more of a working thing. I don't know. Could be an option because these sessions feel like we could mix them up a bit. It's not always we have that many issues to kind of talk through in detail.
What would we call that? That's a good. If everyone wants to do that, then we can definitely do that. What do we call that? What type of session is this? It's like a big
Obviously,
picture.
it's a future jam.
Future jam.
Doomsday
I don't
session.
know.
Yeah, I mean, if you also start doing these design huddles, then we could also just use those to just pick one of them and then just design something for it. We could combo those. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think this session is particularly one for around planning because we're starting in the new year and we basically wrapped up all our PRs at the end of right before Christmas. Does anyone want to be the organizer for these? Or I don't know, put something together and maybe identify some of those scenarios to get us going? Or should we just take the next session and figure it out?
Well, I'm not sure if it needs to be the next one necessarily. I mean, I'm open to it too, but feels like maybe we take we can prepare one particular use case. Maybe not the super complex, a whole family setup thing. Maybe it's just the one user to begin with. And then maybe ahead of time, we just write up, like a half-page brief or something.
Yeah, I love the idea of like, so Daniel, are you saying like everybody picks like a topic and prepare something on that? Or what were you thinking about?
Well, I was thinking more, there was one topic that everybody would think about together, but I think your idea is also interesting that like one person does a bit of pre-work and says, well, so it's more maybe of a presenting of different views of what it should be like. I don't know. Because yeah, sometimes it can be hard to kind of work effectively together in a online session. So
Yeah,
but that's a different approach.
If there's something you want to think about first individually, then the easiest thing is create another Google Doc, share it in the guide channel, and just kind of gather ideas. Doomsday scenarios.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we can just pick one for a call and talk about it, but we can just kind of see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I also love the idea of like Daniel was saying, like something super like also like realistic that we could maybe do. Not like are you like homesteading in like the forest, something like that already on the Bitcoin standard? Like that. Yeah, that sounds like very hardcore scenario.
I think there are other people thinking about that.
How about once we've colonized Mars and you're homesteading on Mars?
Yeah.
We can invite Matt Damon to help us out with that.
Is Matt Damon related to the Bitcoin Damon?
Ah, nice. Yes, that's him.
Boom.
Right.
Yeah, cool. What else do we have in here? Let's see.
There is like something, I think I don't think it's in there, but I think I had noticed that we don't seem to have anything about adding a watch only wallet. Like we have something things tangential to that, but not exactly that. And I wanted to do like a stub, maybe like a very small thing about that,
Mhm.
and maybe do like PR. Yeah.
So that would probably be under the savings wallet, maybe.
Yeah, so well, that is actually a good question, because I do have a Google Doc in which I'm trying to think about it. I can share it with you guys, but um, that is one place it could go. Another place that I thought it could go was the common user flows. We have a
Yeah.
section, and we have a bunch of super interesting things in there, but this thing is not in there. And I feel like we use like mobile wallets or any other wallets, and we like that is like the default thing to do, right? You just set up like a watch only.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I put it in there under common user flows, and we can move it around. But yeah, that sounds great. Do you want to create an issue for it?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Here's another one. Transcripts and localization. We've had the localization issue open for a year or something or so. It comes up occasionally. We have a Spanish channel in Discord. The transcripts thing was brought up last year. I feel like these things, they don't necessarily draw. You're not going to get just a bunch of people being super pumped about them. Nevertheless, they could be very worthwhile when done, because we might have a lot of people quietly coming to these resources and turning around, and we will never know it. But maybe they would stay if they would see that they could help localize it, or if there was a transcript or so. What do you think about those two?
Well, I continue to feel it's important, but I also have to, kind of confess that nothing's happened for the whole time. We've talked about it for probably 2 years at least. So, I think there are two parts. Like one, because I tried to look into this a little bit, probably about a year ago. One part is the technical part, like how do you technically translate or present the website in different languages, and I think that one is the one that I personally struggle with a bit. I'm not knowledgeable enough with the setup we have to pick the right package and kind of implement that. But if we had that in the system, I feel that the actual translation, getting people to contribute, would potentially be less of an issue. I mean, there are plenty of countries, there are Spanish speaking that have, Bitcoin groups and, people that are really passionate about things that we could probably leverage and, kind of bring into this community. But yeah, again, we're lacking a champion, both on the technical side and the kind of translation content side. So again, I think it's one of those, we should move this to wish list, because it just doesn't have the champion.
What transcript are you guys hoping to?
So btctranscripts.com, someone reached out I think it was in December. So that would be about, they would use AI, I guess, to, always sounds goofy, everything's magic AI, to create an automated transcript of our videos on YouTube. And then someone would have to review them. And I think BTC Transcripts actually pays people some sats to review transcripts, and then they would all be available. So that would make a lot of our discussions much more easily searchable, for people who just don't want to sit through the whole video, or they just want to look for, like, have there been any discussions in all the videos about Frost or mini script or so. They could easily just pinpoint this stuff and then maybe watch the parts or read about the parts that interested them. So it is kind of a content unlock, and we do have, I don't know, 250 hours of videos or so on YouTube. I have no idea what's all in there, if it's worth it.
Right. I was just making.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you guys were talking about
Yeah.
these video recordings or not. I mean, it makes sense. I would. I don't speak a lot of Spanish. Or I would do it. I mean, technically, I think I could do it, but the reviewing part would be a little challenging.
Yeah, I think ideally the reviewing's pretty straightforward. I do feel like the localization translation into broadly used global languages has gotten really, really good. It might
think so.
struggle with some of the technical stuff a bit, or if
Yeah.
if the quality is not good, someone's mumbling or so. But I feel like otherwise it would be pretty straightforward. And the other thing with translation, I was wondering is, here in my browser, I just pressed this little translate button and changed it to German.
Right.
Is that good enough these days? Do we need localization?
Well, what do you think? I mean, when you read this, does it look?
I haven't read it yet, so I'll have to look at some pages and take a look through. But even let's say this takes us to 80%, right? How much work do we need to do to actually improve on this?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's probably quite easy for people who are looking for information about these subjects to either find it in their language, in their country, or, like you say, find this resource and translate it.
I mean, doing with the video things, I mean, that if you wanted to do the video, you would just have to it would probably be a paid service at this point, even though AI's gotten a lot better. You would probably have to pay a small fee for the translation, I think, or maybe you could do it like 15 times on a free trial, and then you'd have to pay for it. Then you would just cut the video, the new audio into the video, and then you'd have to export it again, I guess. Or is it a function where you switch back and forth in the video viewer, or is it just or each video is a separate video? Each language is a video.
So take a look at btctranscripts.com.
Okay.
So let's say we go to Andreas Antonopoulos. I'll just click a random one. So there's a YouTube link here. Says who's the speakers, who did the transcript. And at the top, I can choose 3 different languages. What is it? Spanish, Portuguese, and Chinese, I think. There's one by Bitcoin Design. No video posted online. Interesting.
Oh, so we're talking about the actual transcript, so not like the video. I mean the audio, the actual transcript of the audio, like the written version of the audio.
I think that's what it would be, and I have to look it up again. I think they use some type of self-hosted video transcription service, and then they just clean it up afterwards.
I see. Okay. Because AI is so good nowadays. I mean, you could actually, have people speaking in different languages if you want to, in real time in video. But
that's where you're probably getting into paid services. I don't know.
Yeah. No, this makes. I mean, for search stuff, this. I understand now.
But I mean, if you get a paid service for a month and just run all of our 200 videos through it or so, I mean, that's totally worth it.
Right.
I can't imagine it's too crazy expensive. It just requires someone to go through it.
Now, what if you if you do the Google thing on a page like this? Can you?
So this is using Safari, but I know Chrome has the same thing. Let's translate this one to German and see what happens. I never do this, but
I'm just reading. I just with Google Translate translated the time-based recovery page that I worked on before the holidays, and it's getting pretty close in Czech. So I switched to Czech, and I think it's probably 80% there.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes it tricky, right? If this is actually really good, then our own translation efforts are not going to be very helpful for a while until we. And it's a tricky one.
No, and given the amount of resources we have, or rather don't have, I think it's probably not where we should put our efforts right now.
Yeah, what's tricky are these kind of specific, very Bitcoin specific terms and words, or something like the term "save for later" is, you know, it's been translated in a kind of money, like saving money for later.
Yeah.
But these are kind of these nuances that basically you could relatively quickly figure out, but yeah, still
So
somebody has to do the work.
it actually translates text in images also, right?
It does.
I feel like it can do that these days. That's tägliche Ausgabenbrieftasche. That reads good. It's goofy. Okay, let's see. Let's see if it can do it in images. Yep, translate text and images as well. Yeah, I guess something I'm wondering there too is if you can give translation hints potentially. If you can provide some extra data on the page about context or something that then allows the automated localization to work more efficiently. That'd be interesting. I have no idea if that exists. But yeah, so should we I mean, what do we do with this localization issue now? Basically just say use your browser.
Put it to the wish list there, probably, as Daniel suggested. I mean, wait until it gets even better, and then and then officially say that use the browser translate.
Yeah.
I have had to translate kind of formal documents, and I've been using DeepL to do that.
Mhm.
And it was very, very good from Czech to German and official documents. I mean, it's probably getting to a point where it will be kind of machine heavy, and the only thing you'd have to account for is kind of tone of voice and kind of like a glossary with terms that should be translated, in the same way or differently than what the machine would do, and kind of teach it that way.
Yeah, I mean, this is also different since we just have a website. In an application, I cannot run inside any app I use a localization on there. It works great in the browser, and the browser can just switch things around, right? It doesn't. So for us, that might not be realistic or necessary for us at this stage. Okay, I'll add a note in there. And then for BTC transcripts, yeah, maybe just do a quick review, and I'll take a look at it. And I'll try to come up with a little bit of a process and how involved it would be. Maybe it's a matter of just a week of just running some automated thing. We have all the transcripts, we upload them, done. Who knows? Might be straightforward. I'll take a look. Yeah, cool. Any other big dreams? Where are we at the end of this year?
I don't know. I'll have to think about my my grant in sometimes around March and and April.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But a big thing is that we don't just add more stuff and improve it, but tons of people use it and they refer to it,
yeah.
and this stuff finds itself into all kinds of products.
Yeah, I started out writing kind of in kind of normal like prose or blog format, like an article about Bitcoin custody for digital nomad, right? And kind of trying to just write out these different scenarios without designing anything first, to just think through it and have maybe a couple of these various scenarios fleshed out a bit more. Just the same basic topic, but from a different angle each time.
Is that your life
So
plan?
no,
Digital
my
nomad?
brothers.
Okay, gotcha.
No. He's really traveling. He's really traveling around the world. He's in Morocco right now with his van. He uses an S19 for heating. It has solar panels on the roof, and this does paragliding. Yeah, so that's kind of his spiel, not mine.
You're the family man.
Yeah, I'm more stationary, obviously.
Okay, cool. We're at the hour. Should we wrap it up? Or any more discussion points?
Probably being the family man, I have to pick up my daughter from pottery classes. So
Okay, sounds good. Hope she made something awesome there.
yeah, me too.
Then I'll stop the recording here. Thanks all for tuning in.